Almost my entire life, I've spent my time with Bachmann GS-4s. They certainly get the point across, however, they're not exactly perfect. The detail is pretty dated, they can't pull that much, they kinda suck at slow speed, you get what I mean. I thought I would never really upgrade. I always considered upgrading, however, at the time of recording this, I have 3 Bachmann GS-4s, so clearly I wasn't really gonna upgrade that soon. That was until I got a screaming deal on an MTH GS-4. Wow. So I wanted to compare it and see, is the MTH model really worth double the price of the Bachmann? So let's find out. So starting, let's talk about the detail. The detail for the MTH one is just easily better than the Bachmann one in every way possible. The MTH one is a brass air horn, whistle, safety valves, and even brass dynamos that have been painted. The Bachmann ones are all plastic, and it looks very toy-like at some angles. The MTH one has proper handrails here, and it has separately fitted marker lights, whereas the Bachmann ones are just all plastic and just look very cheap. The MTH one even has a lot brighter paint, however, it's not too bright, right, to the point where it wants to kill my eyes. The Bachmann one I've always found is, like, way too dark, especially the orange, so seeing this has completely flipped my head around on the color scheme. The MTH one just looks better. It also has visible number boards with the 99 number, and it even has a working Mars light. The Bachmann one just uses one light system, and that's it. Both of the tenders also carry this similar amount of detail. Here's the MTH tender, and here's the Bachmann tender. Let me just move this out of the way. Wait, the Bachmann one has a bunch of just fat, extended out pieces, while the MTH one actually looks like a fine scale model. It just looks better, again, in every way. It has separately fitted ladders, and the tender actually weighs a lot more than the Bachmann. This MTH tender has been modified with a KD coupler, and it also has all-wheel pickup. The Bachmann one doesn't even have all-wheel pickup. Half of the wheels pick up power on it. Now, with engine to tender connection, it's kind of complicated, and something that it's pretty hard to get right. On the Bachmann model, Bachmann uses their simple mini plug system, and yeah, it is completely not great. The wires are prone to breaking and just completely crapping out. A lot of people simply just hardwire the locomotive and tender together. However, for maintenance, it's going to be a bit tricky, especially if you're in a tight space. I was hoping with the MTH one it would be a little better. However, the MTH one has its fair amount of problems. The MTH one uses a very interesting connection. The drawbar on the locomotive has 2 wires, and they connect to this point on the tender for the drawbar. It's similar to a River-Rossi coupling. However, the MTH one isn't prone to any problems as well. The wires connecting to the drawbar in the locomotive are prone to breaking. In fact, after I took this engine home, the wires broke, so I was forced to take this out, I'll disassemble the thing, and fix the wire issue. It seems to be working fine, however, it is not great by any means. I wanted to get into the actual main thing, performance. The thing about the MTH one, which is completely different than the Bachmann, is that it has 2 DCC decoders. 2 DCC decoders. I needed to get the Bachmann. Here. The Bachmann has 1 decoder in the tender. Whilst the MTH actually has 2 decoders. 1 decoder is mounted in the locomotive for stealth operation, and a sound decoder is mounted in the tender. It's very complex and very weird. I've never dealt with anything like this before, so it's very interesting to see. The Bachmann one, again, just has 1 decoder in the tender mounted to the engine with the wire system. the MTH is actually really good at slow speed performance. It starts crawling at step number 1, although it's kind of hard to see, but it does crawl. It's also a pretty decent puller, where on really steep grades, it absolutely hates those, but without traction tires, this thing was pulling 7 daylight cars, whereas my Bachmann one can barely even pull that on my club's layout. Now, where can you get these engines? The MTH you can easily find on eBay. However, they do not go cheap. I am talking $500 at the least. And typically, these can rise up to $700, and in some cases, I've even seen $800 and $900. The Bachmann model is far cheaper. However, it's worth noting, the Bachmann has made DCC, ready, and DCC sound equipped versions, along with DCC on board. So there's 3 types of Bachmann you can find. The DCC on board ones typically go from like $100 to say $300 in some cases, which is absolutely not worth it. The sound ones go from $290 to $400 in some cases, and the ready ones haven't even been released yet. So they're definitely a much more budget conscious. So, in return, is the MTH better? Honestly, yeah. I just need to say it right now. This is worth double the price than the Bachmann. The Bachmann is a completely okay model. It may have its quirks, however, the price is not bad for it. If you get these at a good price, it could be a good first steam locomotive in some cases. However, the MTH is just simply better in every way. And that's even evident with the decoder, which I haven't even mentioned yet. The MTH also has a bunch of more stuff the Bachmann just simply lacks. This engine has announcements on when the locomotive or train is heading into a station. It has crew talk, a better whistle, more accurate bell, and even better, you could de-skirt this. With the simple pull of 3 screws, the skirt comes right off the locomotive, so you can stimulate however you want with this thing. Even better, this little back hatch at the cab. It comes out. This little step ladder thingy. It opens, it closes. You could really customize this engine however you want. And honestly, yeah. If you're on a budget, the Bachmann model is completely fine. But if you really, really want a more accurate GS-4, just one for the complete fans of the locomotive, the MTH is an acceptable, perfect, almost perfect model, I have to say. The drawbar does hinder it, however, if that is fixed and completely out of the way, it is an amazing model to use.